Namaste everyone. As usual, we'll begin with 3 ohms and then we'll get into the heart health discussion. So take a deep breath in. So today we start with, as I mentioned yesterday, since some of you may have family gathering, to have a more general conversation for about 20 minutes. So we will start with the discussion on heart health. Many of you have heard of many stories about how the heart is affected and things like that, but getting into the details and what are yogic ways to deal with it is something that is not something that is commonly known. So the first thing is, let's understand how heart problems arise. Heart problems primarily arise because of arterial problems. What is arteries? All the blood vessels that are going out of the heart to send blood to all over the body. And why is that important? In fact, even as you are right now in a relaxed way, 20% of your blood is actually going to your brain. Why? Because the brain is the largest single consumer of oxygen and glucose in the body at every moment. Because the brain serves as the chief financial officer, or you can say as the treasurer or the controller. Controller is the right word, controller of the organization. So in other words, it is responsible for allocating resources of all the functionalities of the body. So on a moment by moment basis, it needs information coming to it and it responds to it. So the brain is the first claimant of energy in the body. The second claimant is the heart. Because if the heart is not pumping properly, the brain is not getting enough oxygen and glucose for it to do its job. So, and then after the brain and the heart, rest of the body have claim to the blood that is coming in. So what is the claim of the blood to the heart? Primarily, it is in the heart is a muscle. Every muscle needs to have blood flow in order for the muscle to be maintained. The blood that comes inside the heart is for pumping, for taking in and pumping out. So that blood doesn't feed the heart. The blood that feeds the heart is, just as the left ventricle of the heart contracts, the blood that is coming out of the aortic valve, just as it comes out of the aortic valve into the aorta, just on the edges over there, you have two little arteries that come that are called the left main and the right main coronary arteries. Those are the arteries that are going into the walls of the muscle of the heart, effectively the wall of the heart, to give oxygen and glucose to the muscles so that the muscles can do the job, right? So let's first understand what is the first requirement of heart health. The first requirement of the heart health is there needs to be enough oxygen and glucose flowing in you. In other words, the blood needs to flow and all over the body, and particularly into the heart too. But what happens if you get into a state where the brain becomes highly active? When does the brain become highly active? Now, if you're doing lot of thinking, you're working on a project and you're deeply involved in it, lot of thinking, instead of your normal relaxed state when 20% of the blood, 20-25% is going to the head, that number becomes about 50%. And of course, if you're in a state of anxiety or panic, it goes even more, which means there is less blood available for the rest of the body, including the heart. So you have heard of conditions where a person is highly stressed, something emotional, and the person gets a heart attack, right? That is because at that moment, the brain is consuming so much of the oxygen and glucose, the amount of blood available to the heart to go in there is not as much. That is why the heart attack comes. And what is the meaning of heart attack? The blood that is flowing through the left main coronary artery and right main coronary artery that is feeding the walls of the heart, the muscles of the heart, the flow over there is not adequate enough. The flow comes through the arteries, and the arteries are pretty small, in the sense where pretty small means if you take your little finger, it's maybe like a third or a quarter of your little finger. But on the other hand, those arteries, as they go down into the walls of every cell of the heart, the arteries are not going there. The coronary arteries are not going there. It is the capillaries that are flowing over there. So the capillaries are the one which is carrying the blood to each cell of the heart. When few cells of the heart don't get enough oxygen and glucose, they start dying. And that dying process is what causes a heart attack. And the dying of the cell is called myocardial infarction. And that's what is a heart attack, right? So now let's look first in terms of preventive care. And generally you can look at care at three levels. First is preventive, second is secondary, and then of course you go into active or primary care. Okay? So the first level of care is really, you never want your you never want your blood to be not going enough into the walls of your heart. So how do you deal with it? Well, the first thing is being relaxed all the time. And if you find yourself not getting relaxed, if something is making you anxious, immediately make an effort to slow your breath. If the breath is slower and deeper, deep breath, slow breath, automatically you begin to relax a little bit, right? So now, how does this kind of a preventive approach, when a person is young, they make sure they take enough time to de-stress every day. That means they will take enough time to have deep relaxation. That is the first beginning step for everyone, whether they are young or old. Then what happens? Well, most of the people over here are no longer that young. So as people go through a lifestyle full of stresses which they take on to themselves, and the stresses really, you have taken it on in your own mind, whether it is having a career, developing enough financial security in life, or whether worried about the children and making sure the children grow up well and they're taken care. All of these worries take a toll on you. How does the toll work on you? So understanding this will give you some insight. The toll that works on you is the arteries, the blood vessels in your body, the main arteries that take blood all over, they begin to stiffen and crack. This process is called atherosclerosis. The basic biochemical way of atherosclerosis is that the blood develops acidity. When it becomes more acidic, that's when the walls begin to crack. So what are the different ways in which the blood can become more acidic? And once that one way, of course, is if you're stressed all the time and you're not breathing well enough, if more carbon dioxide is building within you, your blood will become more acidic. The other way is the stress will create various stress hormones which will create a metabolic imbalance in the system. And the metabolic imbalances with all the amino acids that stay in the blood, that too increases the acidity of the blood. And another example of it, people who are diabetic. If the sugar stays too high in your blood, it makes the blood more acidic. So when the blood becomes more acidic, the walls of the blood vessels begin to crack. Now, that is of course the first stage of problem coming on. And as it begins to crack, but the lipids that you have in the body, when we say the lipids, the cholesterol, all the fat elements, well, you need a certain amount of them to be in your system. But when you're stressed all the time, your liver produces more of it. And that is why, to prevent the liver from producing more, is why many people take statins. So when that becomes more in the system and your blood vessels become cracked, the lipids become easier to stick to the cracks. When they stick to the cracks, then as they accumulate over there, there is a potential for some blockage developing. And of course, if during a bad moment, if that blockage that has developed over there breaks off and it starts flowing to the blood, then in which case the place where it breaks off, there is also some the clotting of the blood that will happen. And if this kind of a thing goes into the brain, you get a stroke. So the starting point is really the acidity actually starting from loss of relaxation or stress lifestyle, causing the crack in the blood vessels, leading to the plaque accumulation, the lipids, all of this accumulation. And of course, the stress is the one that increases the lipid in the system. Over a period of time, what happens is there are various layers in the blood, in the walls of the blood vessels. The outside layer, and then the inside layer in the middle is called the intima, and then of course the outside this thing. So what happens is the crack that has developed, slowly as the acidity permeates inside into the intima, the entire blood vessels become harder. They lose their resilience. That is why people as they age tend to develop what they call as essential hypertension, that the blood pressure never goes down, right? So that becomes a permanent feature with this blood vessel, this thing related problem. So now we know how to, from a young age, if you are good, you know how to prevent the onset of all of this. But now, given most of you are much, much older over here, this message is really for your family members who may be joining you during Thanksgiving. But then for people who have already come into this stage, what happens? Well, the problem that happens is that as this continues, somewhere along the way, as the blockages leading to the capillaries, if the blood flow is not adequate, you can get chest pain and a potential. A chest pain doesn't necessarily mean there is a heart attack. Chest pain typically means there is some muscle that is crying for help. It's not getting enough blood flow, but it has not become zero and it has not yet resulted in a heart attack. But the starting pain is what is called ischemia, or the slow flowing of the blood. Okay? So anytime a slow flowing of the blood happens, there are two exercises you can do. The first exercise that you can do is Bhramari. So when you do the Bhramari, take a deep breath in. Now, if you do like maybe Bhramari like this, slow and relaxed humming for a period of 5 minutes, you may find your discomfort subsides. Of course, the recommendation is not simply to do Bhramari. Of course, you need proper medical attention to make sure that if there's a chronic issue that can lead to a heart attack, you need to be taken care. But on the other hand, even while you're waiting for all of the other processes to happen, immediately when you feel discomfort, immediately do Bhramari, and you will find that there will be relief that will be coming with repeated 10, 20, 30 breaths of Bhramaris. So this is really a very quick way to get relief and preventing the problem from becoming worse and getting into a heart attack. Okay, but it is only a temporary solution. And if for people who have this potential condition, if they work on it regularly over a period of time, perhaps there may be more relief. Some of us have experienced that, but we have no guarantee that there's a permanent solution. Okay, but it will give you, but it has potential to give you immediate relief. Now, what else can you do? Actually, what happens is when the heart functions, it is not simply the flow of the, and why does Bhramari give you relief? That's a very important question. Now, as I mentioned, the heart is like the size of your fist. And when the left ventricle is pumping, right, it pumps out and it comes out through the aortic valve into the aorta, which takes the blood to the top and bottom parts of the body, right, for circulation. Just when it comes out of the aortic valve, and the aortic valve is a 3-flap valve called a tricuspid valve. Just around that area, in the head of the, just where the aorta begins, there is a kind of a space ring around it, which is an empty space. That empty space is called a sinus. It is called the aortic sinus or the Valsalva sinus. Both names are used. So you can go and check on Google what the aortic sinus is and the Valsalva sinus. So now just where the sinuses are, next to that is where you have the left main coronary artery and the right main coronary artery flowing into the wall of the heart muscle. Okay? So now what happens is, we really don't know what happens, but anytime we do Bhramari, we do know that it impacts the sinuses, it helps the sinuses. And what we have found in our research is that when we take our bioval readings, there is one area called ear, nose, maxillary sinus. So when we measure and we see weakness over there, to give relief to the sinuses, we always do Bhramari. But it was quite by accident that we discovered that not only does it help the sinuses in the head, it also appears to help the heart. So we are wondering whether the aortic sinus or the Valsalva sinus has got something to do with it. So what is the purpose of sinuses in the body? The purpose of sinuses in the body, those empty spaces act as drainage zones to drain off fluids and other things that are flowing. So that is why those empty spaces are there. So maybe it is possible. We haven't been able to have any objective way of validating it. But we do see in the Nadi system, the sinuses show up when there is weakness in the sinus, and there is a correlation with weakness for some people in the heart muscle, not in the coronary artery. It is in the heart muscle we see the weakness, which means there is not enough capillary blood flowing through. So there we have found when we do the Bhramari, it helps. So we are wondering whether the sound vibration resonating in the empty space over there, the aortic sinus, Valsalva sinus, whether that is helping for more blood to flow through the coronary arteries. We don't know the answer. It may be possible. When we had this discussion with our cardiologists and researchers a few months back, the thought was, and there's another possibility. In fact, two of our cardiologists gave two opinions. One cardiologist basically said, it is possible that there are, small, crystallization of things in the capillaries that break up when we do the vibration, and that is why the heart begins to feel better. And the other thing that was mentioned by another cardiologist was, and I checked up on the internet, that in the last few years, there has been a great deal of attention paid to small blood vessels that are less than 100 microns. Just so that you understand, 100 microns is like 1/10 of a millimeter. A millimeter is like 1,000 microns. So less than 100 micron means less than 1/10 of a millimeter. So this is the zone where they are looking to see how the blood flow is being affected. Because what happens is, once in a while, the cardiologists do see cases where the coronary arteries are fine, but yet the person has a heart attack or looks like they are having heart-related problem. Why? And that is what they call ischemia. There is not enough blood flow going through. So this is one thing about the area of research that is going on. And as I have said, research can be over there, but what is useful for us? Brahmari. So the Brahmari, anytime you feel discomfort, it can give quick relief. Of course, again, it doesn't mean you shouldn't do your other checkups and whatever you need to do with your doctor, which you should take care, but this is a quick way in which you can give relief. Okay. Now, let's go to the next item. The next element is the heart. While it needs the sugar and the oxygen for the muscles to work, for all the cells in the heart to work, there are some other things that are also needed. What is the other thing? Another important thing, the nerve signaling. And the nerve signaling in the cardiologist language is called electrophysiology of the heart. Right on the top area of the heart, you have the SV node, sinoatrial node as they call it. So when that fires, the electrical signals are supposed to contract the atrium of the heart, and as it contracts, the signal travels down the middle of the heart, going, and right in the middle of the heart, on the head of the ventricles, there is the atrioventricle node. And that nerve signal fires, and as it fires, the lower chambers of the heart contract, right? Now, when there is for some reason, the nerve signals are not flowing. And what could be the reason? It could be many reasons why the nerve signals are not flowing. Maybe the nerve cells are damaged. And popularly, within the invasive kind of tools that modern medicine uses, they do a process called ablation for people for whom the electrical signal is a problem. When the electrical signal is a problem, what kind of heart conditions manifest out of that? Many of you have heard of a condition called AFib, atrial fibrillation. This means what is happening is the electrical signaling in the top part of the heart is not good enough. So the top part of the heart is shivering instead of properly contracting, and that creates a disruption in the whole timing and functioning of the heart, as a result of which what happens? The total flow of the head that is going out of the heart for circulation in the body is no longer normal, and the person can feel discomfort in various, many different ways. Now, that is only one category. There are many, many aspects. All of these electrical signal problems are called the improper rhythm of the heart. The word the cardiologist will use is arrhythmia. So the rhythm of the heart is no longer good, it is arrhythmia. So atrial fibrillation is one case of arrhythmia. Another could be very rapid breathing, and that is called tachycardia. When it is very slow beating of the heart, they call it bradycardia. When the ventricles are not, there is a sequence. The atrium contracts first, and in sequence the ventricle contracts next. Whereas on the other hand, if you find that the ventricles are in a hurry to contract, as a result of which the full blood from the atrium has not filled the ventricle, then there is not enough blood flow going through the body. That is called preventricular contraction. So you have a whole host of these kinds of conditions that come from lack of rhythm. And one of the things going back quite a many years back, the finding had been actually it was not a finding as much as an observation. The observation was in Maharashtra, where some cardiologist in the Pune area noted that there were poor people who came with atrial fibrillation, and it required ablation, and they didn't have the money to perform the ablation. But what would happen is these people with a lot of faith would go to Pandharpur, and they would go for a few days walking, and as they walk they will be chanting Vitthala, 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 Vitthala. And when they came back after like 10 or 15 days, the doctor would find their AFib had gone away. The atrial fibrillation was no longer there. So going back at least as early as 2018, 2019, we have been testing with it. And in the cases where we had of arrhythmia coming, we did find results from this, particularly in the case of preventricular contraction, we have seen this. Now, what had happened was, during the Navaratri season, there was a video that was being shared, and from news somewhere that was being shared by many people on WhatsApp, that in Gujarat, a lot of people get a heart attack or heart problem during when they are doing all these dandiya throughout night and all of that. And this is a way, by doing Vitthala, Vitthala, they can get over it, kind of thing. And of course, people look at it that way, but we look at it from a more scientific aspect, how it is working. And in the tests we have done, we have not had enough cases to make a broad generalization. But in the couple of cases we have worked, we have definitely seen the difference and the change. And when we measure in our bioval system, the nadis, we can actually see it is the peripheral nervous system that improves, and at the same time, the heart also improves. Okay? So this is a second element, that anytime people have, the rhythm of the heart is going crazy or whatever, you can try this, and this is a second tool for you to think about. And it's very easy, and you can share it with your family members, just like the first one, the Bhramari. Now, let's go to and of course, the first one I didn't even say over there, for deep relaxation, it is slow breathing. And all of you who have been over here know how to do the slow breathing, deep relaxation, the alternate nostril breathing, slow exhalation, our slow Bhastrika. All of these are different ways for us to have deep relaxation. Now,
could you tell me what the second thing we had to do for arrhythmia? I didn't understand what you said. What we need to do?
Vitthala, Vitthala.
Talavitta, what is that?
But actually, I want you to do it right now. Just repeat after me. Vitthala, Vitthala, Vitthala.
Vitthala, Vitthala.
Not Vitthala, Vitthala.
Vitthala.
Do you feel the thump in your heart when you do that?
Vitthala.
Vitthala, 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 Vitthala,
Vitthala.
Vitthala, Vitthala, Vitthala.
V-I-T, Vit.
You write it any way you want. But the thing is that Vittha, Vitthala, that rhythmic way in which it hits, it creates this thing. Okay?
Vitthala.
So now, let's go on to the last element. For people who do have, who develop, for whom a heart attack comes on, and when a heart attack comes on, or there is a significant weakening of the heart muscles, okay, we find that the problem may not necessarily be the heart alone, but how the heart functions with the rest of the body. And so the integrative aspect of the brain, the heart, and the circulation system, that is managed by the silent mantra Im. Mentally, Im, you do that mental mantra. That actually we have found to have significant impact in improving the coordination of the heart with the rest of the system. And over a period of time, it improves the circulation of the blood flow in the walls of the heart, the muscles of the heart as well. Okay, so this has been our finding. So these are 3 tools that are available for people who need to use it. Now, aside from this, there is a completely different element, and many of you here have felt it. That is, in the circulation, and this is not directly related to the heart, it is more related to the circulation, because the heart can stay okay, but you still may have circulation problem. And this is often called peripheral artery disease. And a lot of people have that, and that is the reason you may end up with atherosclerosis coming on. You develop chill in your feet and in your hands, and you can feel tightness in your calf muscles when you walk and things. Then in which case, we have found if you do the Haim mantra, mentally Haim, 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 that seems to help the circulation. And if you stretch your hand out and lift up the palm and stretch out the legs and do Haim Nam, Haim Nam, Haim Nam, Haim Nam, you'll find the circulation becomes going all the way down to the feet and the hands. Okay, so I just wanted to share this because I thought you with family and people gathered, you may be able to have this conversation with them. But as I can see over here, the people who are over here are for whom families are not present for Thanksgiving. But so we can continue with our regular practice. Any questions quickly? And then we'll go into our practice. Yeah, go ahead, unmute yourself, speak up.
Dr. Rajan,
Yes.
you talked a lot about the physiology and anatomy and everything, but you mentioned only briefly about the cholesterol, because that has been a major driven force for the people, those who have a heart condition, the role of cholesterol and lipids.
I did speak about it. Actually, that is the first thing for preventive care. So I spoke about 3 levels: the preventive care, secondary care, primary care. So I don't know whether that's right, this thing. The preventive is why cholesterol and lipids build in the body. I know very often people talk about what they eat. What they eat, the contributory factor may be less than 10%. The real factor of why cholesterol is produced in the body is because the liver produces it. And why does the liver produce it? The liver produces it in response to chronic stress in the system. So the stress that you build in the system is largely the reaction of your mind to all the things you have to engage with in life. So in other words, relaxing the mind, and a good way to do that, as I said, is our slow breathing practices and developing that practice right from a young age, right? So as long as a person is relaxing, taking time to relax, it will happen. Now, there is also one other very interesting thing. Commonly what is recommended is, if people have a high cholesterol or whatever, besides whatever statin and medications, they are usually told you need to have a proper exercise regimen, right? So when people do an exercise regimen, what do? The key idea is do cardiovascular exercise, and in other words, your mind stays away from work and other kinds of things. So this is a way for you to relax. In fact, from a yogic perspective, we understand it is really the deep relaxation within that takes care of cholesterol issues. Recently, I had my blood test done, and I'm nearly 65 years old, and all my lipids were perfectly normal. My mother is 94 years old, and the last blood test she had, the doctor said, your lipid profile looks like you're 25 years old. Okay? So the key part is, it is the deep relaxation within that takes care of it. And by the way, both my mother and I, we are big consumers of sugar and ghee. We have no problem with it. Okay? So
I
what
think
we
it may
eat
be
is not the source of the problem.
it may be your good genes, I must say, because I think the people, those who have a heart problem, they are advised to minimize the intake of the fats and everything else. But I think I'm learning also now that the yoga will probably benefit you more than the dietary restrictions.
Dr. Dashotar, you're a cardiologist, and all the physicians whom I know, before they get involved in our training program, in fact, our Dev Mahajan's wife, Dr. Sushma Mahajan, is somebody who fully understands the depths of how yoga helps. Pretty much all the physicians, before they begin to understand yoga, they think of yoga and everything from an anatomical and physiological basis. And the fundamental mistake that they make is, because it is anatomical and physiological, it is the food that you take that matters. And in fact, what happens is, once you begin to realize we are first the spirit, the chitta, the soul, and then second, it is the vibrations coming into the body, and third is the physiology and the anatomy. And the impact that the spirit and the vibrations, that is what we call the Karan Sharira and the Sukshma Sharira, that has on the physical body, is way beyond. And in fact, I will say it with, hopefully without making anybody feel insulted. The physician's view of what you eat is what matters is an idiot's view. Okay? It is how you are able to digest it and incorporate it in your system is what really matters. And the key part is, when you are deeply relaxed, what will happen is, whatever you eat will get well digested. In fact, what happens is, for me and my mother, you can keep all the food in the world in front of us. If we are hungry, we won't touch it. It could be the most delicious food. We will only eat when we are hungry, and we will eat only what we feel like eating. And we don't restrict ourselves. So the thing is, basically, the key is our integration of spirit, mind, and body, whereby our inner guidance guides us for our nutrition. And what we eat from outside is not the primary cause, but the primary cause is how the body is able to take it on. The bulk of the lipids produced in the body is actually, I have to correct something. The cholesterol that is produced in the body, bulk of it is largely because of the liver. And of course, when it comes to triglycerides, it is affected by what is absorbed by the digestive channel also. But I am separating the general triglycerides from cholesterol. Okay, so go ahead.
One quick question. You gave those 3 ways to help with the circulation, which is very, very helpful. Is there a way you can put that in a gist some way, and then where we can access in the email or something like that? Because it's very helpful information. I've been trying to
This is all being recorded on YouTube. So go back to today's recording, and the first half hour you have everything.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay. So shall we proceed into our, somebody else has to say something. Go ahead.
Yeah, this is Sriram. Just one quick question, Doctor. So is there any, I know the initial one, the Brahmari, you mentioned that like do it for at least 5 minutes, but is there any like overdoing if we do it for like more than 5 minutes? Or...
Actually, the key thing is basically, key aspect of the effectiveness of Brahmari is it has to be relaxed. You cannot do more and more Brahmari in a hurry. A Brahmari has to be done with ease. So you take a deep breath in. Observe that sound, and I'm going to show you when it is not relaxed. That is not relaxed. What is the difference? When you exhale, the exhalation has to be slow and natural flow, and you only make the noise that is coming from this area. But if you try to make the noise to get more noise out or to go and breathe out more rapidly, you lose it.
Okay, the question is more like, is it more than 5 minutes? I know we do it
You
slowly.
can do as long as you want. You can do 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, makes no difference. But it has to be relaxed. And you cannot feel tired.
Okay. Thank you so much, Doctor.
You're welcome. Yeah. Okay. So shall we continue with our practice? We have taken 40 minutes instead of 20 minutes, but that's okay. So let's go on to our chakra vibrations. Bring your awareness to the perineum. And as we squeeze at the perineum, we do Lam, pressing on the little finger of the thumb. Lam. Release the fingers, continue. Bring your awareness an inch or so above the perineum, behind the pubic area. And as we draw in there with the sound of Vam, we press the ring finger with the thumb. Vam. Release the fingers. Now bring the awareness behind the navel in the middle of the body, and we do Ram. As we press in the middle finger with the thumb. Ram. Release the fingers, continue.
Ram.
Ram. Bring the awareness to the middle of the chest, in between the breasts, and here we do yum, pressing on the index finger with the thumb. Yum. Release the fingers, continue. Now bring the awareness to the throat, and here we do hum, thumbs up, loose fist. Release the hand, continue. Last time. Bring the awareness to the middle of the head, and there we do chum, thumbs up, loose fist. Chum. Release the hand. Continue. Chum. 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 Now we bring the awareness to the top of the head, and here we do Om. Take a deep breath. Om. Om. Release the hand and continue. Om. 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 Now we can go on to the Ujjayi Pranayama. So today, because we won't have time to do the pelvic bending and leg exercises, we'll try to do something a little more differently. As you do your Ujjayi, you can stretch out your hands and legs. Inhale, lift up the palm, stretch out the fingers, and push the heels out and spread your toes. Exhale, thumb in, and bring it down and point the toes away from you. So we do both the legs and hands together. Last exhalation. Now as you inhale and exhale, go around the wrist and ankles. Last round here, and let's go reverse. Last time, and now we can go on to the shoulder rotations. Take a deep breath in. And as you exhale, rotate back and bring it down and continue the Ujjayi. Now with the next breath, let's bring the hands to the chest as we continue the Ujjayi. Inhale, look up, stretch up, and exhale, bring the hands by the side and bring it down, and continue. Last inhalation and last exhalation. Make a fist into the chest, chin down. As you inhale, stretch out as you look up, and exhale, come in. Last exhalation. Now we will do the spinal twist. We'll do 2 or 3 rounds. So take a deep breath in to the right with ah. Ah. To the left. To the back. Chin to the chest. Second round to the right. To the left. To the back. Chin to the chest. Third round to the right. To the left. To the back. Chin to the chest. Now we can cross one leg over the opposite thigh And as we pull on the knee towards the opposite shoulder and turning the head, we do lum, squeezing the perineum. Take a deep breath in. Lum. One last time. Let's cross the other leg over. Last time. Now we bring our awareness to the top of the head and we can do Ah or Om 3 times. Take a deep breath in. Now let's get hold of the hips behind the back. And as we inhale, we'll push on one hand and make a backward arch, and exhale, come forward. Inhale, push on the other hand, and exhale, come forward. Continue. Last inhalation and last exhalation. And now we can all stand up, and those of you who don't have good balance, you can hold a chair and stand up. and we'll get and the others can get the hands to the hips, Sama, and we'll go around the hips. Inhale half a circle, exhale, complete the circle, and continue. Observe the shifting weight from one leg to the other. Last circle that way. Now we go opposite. Last inhalation and last exhalation. Now we can take a seat. We can go straight to Bhastrika Pranayam. We'll skip on the alternate nostril breathing. Actually, we'll do something different today. Let's do 5 breaths of focus right at the hairline at the top of the forehead. As you inhale, visualize like the breath is going up here. You inhale with both nostrils. And as you exhale, feel it go down and let it go down wherever it goes. Now, if you have the ability, like while doing the Ujjayi, to feel the breath coming from the sternum area just in the front of the body, going up and then coming down the middle, you can do that. But it is simply the idea of focusing over here. Okay, so we'll do 5 breaths and then we'll go to Bhastrika. Once you complete the last breath, we can go on to Bhastrika. Let's get ready. Take a deep breath in. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. 2. Exhale. 3. Exhale. 4. Exhale. 5. Exhale. 6. Exhale. 7. Exhale. 8. Exhale. 9. Exhale. 10. Exhale. 11. Exhale. 12. Exhale. 30. Exhale. 40. Exhale. 50. Exhale. 60. Exhale. 70. Exhale. 80. Exhale. 90. exit. 20, exit. Ujjayi Kumbhaka followed by Bhramari. Let's go on to the second round. We may do 25 breaths here. Take a deep breath in, exhale. 2, exhale. 3, exhale. 4, exhale. 5, exhale. 6, exhale. 7, exhale. 8, exhale. 9, exhale. 10, exhale. 11, exhale. 12, exhale. 30, exhale. 40, exhale. 50, exhale. 60, exhale. 70, exhale. 80, exhale. 90, exhale. 20, exhale. Ujjayi Kumbhaka followed by Bhramari. We can go on to a third round, but only 10 breaths because we don't have the time. I want to do meditation. So let's get ready for the third round. Exhale. 2, inhale. Exhale. 2, exhale. 3, exhale. 4, exhale. 5, exhale. 6, exhale. 7, exit. 8, exit. 9, exit. 10, exit. 11, exit. 12, exit. 13, exit. 14, exit. 15, exit. 60, exit. 70, exit. 80, exit. 90, exit. 20, exit. Let's just do a Brahmari without the mudra. Take a deep breath in. Mentally lift your vitality above the head, or mentally tell yourself, I give up all ideas and concepts and I care about nothing. Feel the lightness within you. That if you have a preferred mantra, you can do it. Otherwise, visualize a rising vibration from the lower part of the sternum, the front part of the body, going through and out of the top of the head, and visualize it as 3 vibrations. Aim, Em, Om. Aim, Em, Om. Aim, Em, Om. I won't play Om today, so we'll just go on and mentally continue. Become aware of your breath within. Take a slow, deep breath in. And we will do one long Om and feel the integration of the body, mind, and spirit so that we can be a person who is fully functioning in the world with integration with our spirit. Take a deep breath in. Raise the palm of your hands and look straight into the palm of your hands when you open your eyes. And with that, we end the session for today. We will see you all tomorrow. Namaste. And there is one point I wanted to make is that in all these heart health related discussion we had, all of us need to do the healthy practices that is right for you, regular cardiovascular exercise, whatever you need to do. And the other part of it is until one is able to intuitively feel what is right for your nourishment and all of that, you need to exercise caution and be careful. You see, for my mother and me, the quantity we eat is pretty small compared to many people, although we don't restrict ourselves. And we are very particular, we only eat what we like. And the other part is we don't give any mental restrictions for ourselves. That is very different from people who mindlessly eat, right? So I just want to make that point. And daily exercising, cardiovascular, going for walking, jogging, all of these are good for you. So please keep that up. We'll have more discussion on Sunday. If you have any questions, for now we'll end here. Namaste.
Namaste. Thank you so much.